This is my 883 Stage 1 Sportster. I got that as my backup bike, basically, but right now it's going to be my main bike because the other bike's got some serious problems with the cylinders and the pistons being worn out. I don't know why, but I don't want to run it like that, but I put some engine restore in it. It does work up to a point, but it's not good if you want to be running it like a couple hundred miles or something. Running 50, 60 miles on the backcountry roads is cool, but I want to point out, just the title of this video says, Stage 1 Sportster. It's a 91 883. And Stage 1 just means the jetting on the carburetor, so I didn't even get like the full upgrade kit. I just got the recommended jets from cbperformance.com. Good place to get the jets because they know exactly what to get. If you got a stock bike, you get this jet. If you got 883 to 1200 conversion, you get this jet. If you got a 1200, you get these jets. If you have 1200 modified, they know their stuff, man, and they got good stuff. So the thing is, so this already has. These are like the Harley Davidson Screaming Eagle slip-ons, which I got it with the bike, had it on there, and it's got a Vance & Hines air cleaner on it. Now I got this on here because I got some symbology, because I wouldn't be able to display some symbology I have on here. But this thing, I took it out yesterday, and I was kind of wondering. I wanted to give it get exact gas mileage, and I said I'm not going to baby it either. But I didn't take it out on the interstate. I was just jamming down the country roads, but I was accelerating it pretty hard, And so I filled it up exactly right to the filler neck, right on the edge of the filler neck. And when I went to fill it up again, so I did 88.4 miles. And I did 1.47 miles, 1.47 gallons of gas, exactly 60 miles per gallon, or 60.1 or something like that. 60 miles per gallon. This is one reason I didn't want to mess with this bike, because this, I know I hear that, somebody even told me about, the 883 is a girl's bike. I'm going to explain to you something. They'll tell you all Sportsters are girls' bikes, but I think 85% of the Sportsters out there are owned by males. But one reason, Harley did this for years. When they sold these bikes, you see the 883 and the 1200, it's the same. Almost everything's the same. Obviously the same transmission, the frame, the wheels and all that stuff, the forks, and really the engine, the whole bottom end is the same. The difference is the cylinders are the same. The only difference is that the 883 is bored out. Now, the 1200 is bored out from the 883. And you're thinking, those are totally different cylinders? No. The 883 has got like that much metal on the sides of the cylinder walls that you can bore them out to a 1200. You can take any 883 cylinders and bore them out to 1200. The other difference is the valves on the 883 are slightly smaller. It's got the same cam, same in the heads. The head's got a different CCs, but the cost, I'm driving at, the cost to make the 883 a 1200 might cost the company $5 or $10 at most. It's the same motor. The only real difference, where there's be one cost difference, is the starter motor on the 883 is it's the same starter motor, it's a little less powerful. So it puts out a little less kilowatts. I don't know what the hell the difference is that much, but I noticed if you put an 883 starter in a 1200, it cranks real slow. So, you'd have slightly bigger valves, and the pistons and stuff and the cylinders would be exactly the same. The slightly bigger valves would be the same price. They'll charge you like at least $2,500 more to go to a 1200. That's why the conversions got popular. Now, if you're buying a used one, a 1200 might be, $300 to $600 more. But I didn't. There's so many. I got an 883 because I figured it was probably babied more, and I think this one was babied. It doesn't have much miles on it. And the other beauty I liked about it, everybody does, not everybody, a lot of people do chain conversions, but the first 883, it's a 91, of the 5-speed, when it came out, the 5-speed of 91, only the 883, for that 1 year with the 5-speed, came factory with the chain. And it's got these real easy to adjust chain adjusters on it. It's like you can, it's so simple. You don't even have to, jack the bike up and loosen the axle. It just turn those things and it does it. I was like, I don't know what the hell they are, but man, they're freaking easy. So I'm taking this out. So after I put the CV Performance jetting kit on there, which was like 35 bucks, you know, and this thing actually was a dog when I got it. It was seemed fine up to about 50 miles an hour. Then it got up to 60, or it would have trouble getting up to 75. Well, the guy rebuilt the carburetor. Well, I guess because it was sitting around or something, and he tore the diaphragm on the top of the carburetor, so it wasn't going up with the vacuum and letting the needle get more gas in there. So I didn't try it with just a diaphragm fix. So I was putting in the jets because I said, man, this thing is a real dog. I don't remember what 883s were like, you know. And so I was putting in the jets for like 35 bucks. And I noticed, holy smokes, this freaking diaphragm's got a tear in it. And, you know, so I hit the throttle. Like if you look in there, when you hit the throttle, you see the slide go up. It wasn't going up. And well, that freaking makes a big difference. So when I did that, I says, you know, it's definitely not no powerhouse. I'm not saying that. But between the good air cleaner, the Vance & Hines air cleaner, and these slip-ons are actually really good. They're very good. Like Cycle Shack, and I think Wyatt Gatling makes almost the same thing. You know, Harley Screaming Eagle slip-ons are actually good mufflers, man. They do give you more performance. But altogether, all three combined, I think it maybe gives you like 10% more or something, like not something earth-shattering. But this thing is pretty peppy. It's not bad, man. It's not underpowered. You can go down a highway like 80 easy, get up to 80 real easy, and you got plenty left to freaking accelerate around somebody at 90. That thing actually does a decent job. This one, I'm going to leave it alone till it got at least 50,000 miles as far as doing a 1200 conversion. Then I might get the S&S one, because the S&S 1200 conversion, you can bore it out. You know, it's like you can put 10 over, 20 over, 30 over. Like if you're doing the 1250 kit, you can't do that. You can't do whether it's from Hammer or S&S or the Hammer 1275. It's like one-time deal. But on my other bike, I'm going to put the 1250 Hammer kit in it because, you know, it's got the bigger valve pockets and stuff. This one, when I go to do it, I'll just probably put an Andrews N2 cam, work with the stock springs, the S&S top end, but I'm leaving this alone. The only thing I might want to do on it first is put a lead sled kicker, and I was kind of looking at down there where the brake master cylinder is. They move it to the back and down, and it's attached to the bottom of, it's got a bracket that's attached to the sprocket cover. But I was thinking it's probably in the way of the pipe. But then again, you know, you could probably hammer it, and, you know, have a dent in the pipe on the bottom, you know, on the side. And that'll clear it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. And maybe I'd have to wrap some tape around it to keep the master cylinder from getting too hot. But other than that, it looks like that would fit. I would like that because it would be a backup to start the bike if you got any other issue. Like, you know, I don't know, whatever it could be. It's good having a backup system. But having a kicker on the 883 is probably not going to be that bad. So that might be something, but that's definitely not a big priority. But I would suggest anybody who's got one of these 883s, do this. Go down to CV Performance, get the freaking jets, do the air cleaner and just the slip-ons. For the price, you'll be happy. And you know, it's I like this stupid thing, man. I'm pretty happy with it, man. It's like I got a good deal on this. This was $2,000 with, well, I didn't have, that was from my other bike. That, I put a tool bag on it. But it had the oil cooler on it, the Mustang seat. You could notice that the gas tank is bigger. I put a bigger gas tank on it. That's a 3.8 gallon. So with this thing getting 60 miles to the gallon, let's say it gets 55, and I figure three and a half gallons gas, because it's 3.8, so you got 0.3 reserve. So 3.5 gallons of gas It's 55 miles per gallon. That's a 192 mile range. That's freaking pretty damn good for Sportsters, man. Usually they're filling up well before 100, you know, with that 2.2 tank. So that was the most expensive upgrade I did. But the only thing I did was I had those risers, those black risers. That was because of the gas tank. I had those. I changed the mirrors out because I don't like the real shorty mirrors. They were like totally worthless. You couldn't see behind you. I changed the handlebar. It's a little wider. It's a little higher. Kind of makes it feel like a bigger bike a little bit. I put one of those swing arm bags on it right down here. You can probably see that. I'll get around here. So right, swing arm bag right there. And like I said, it came with the oil cooler. Put a couple tool bags on it. I changed it. I put these on there because these are like, you know, these caps. They don't make it for all the Harleys. I know they should come stock with those, but you just you don't have to pull the whole cap off to change the fluid. You just change out. You open up that Allen insert. I found out about those like more than a decade ago. There was only one place that freaking actually made them, was some kind of machine shop. I think Twin Power makes them. Now something like that you could buy from Twin Power, because usually Twin Power, I will not buy any engine components from them. I mean, I'll buy like one of those sissy bars or something, or, you know. I should mention that. I don't know if it's all of it, but you know that you call it Taiwan Ted, whatever that is. You get, you might be tempted to put like your 1200 kit and say, "Oh, that's a better price by a couple $100." Well, there's a reason it's that way. Like if you get the ones from S&S, they got the piston to each cylinder. That's how accurate they are. Hammer Performance, real accurate. And you can actually, when I'm getting my Hammer Performance kit in a couple weeks, I'm gonna get this. What most people do is I have the ring compressor and all that garbage and ring expander and tool. I'm gonna get the pistons already set in the cylinders. But what I'm worried about on another bike is if the bottom end is bad. It's got an S&S bottom end, well, not the flywheels, but the crank pin and the rods. I was thinking, man, if those pistons were so worn, did it put some strain on the bottom end? I'm hoping not. I'm hoping not. I changed that oil so many times and stuff with the best junk. I know when I pulled the lifters out last year and I changed those to some fueling lifters, they were good, you know. They were the rollers, the original ones that were in there, the rollers weren't loose or nothing, so I don't know, maybe the bottom end is good. But I'm going to make a command decision on that. I'm trying to find out if, you know, what's the limit. Like, I know, like, it's like the rear rod, the side, you know, there should be no up and down play. But with the rods at the bottom, you know, when the pistons are off, you can wiggle the top side to side. And I don't want to say the exact spec. My spec is this: 3/16 of an inch on the rear one. I mean the front one, and an 1/8 inch on the rear one. The front ones could have a little more wiggle. And if it's got like a 1/2 inch wiggle on the front, it's bad, man. It definitely, it's bad, even if it doesn't have up and down play. But I'm going to take a look and see, you know, what I can get away with. Like maybe a 1/4 inch play is good, you know. That would be excessive by the book. But it's always hard to tell, like, what exactly is excessive, where it can run and you're not racing it and you're just doing automatic, you know, like you may be jumping on a little bit. Because, you know, if you went around, probably you pulled apart every engine of a motorcycle that's out there running, you'll probably, if you're a machinist, you'd say, well, that's got too much wear, that's got too much. The stupid thing's running and it'll keep running for years and years and years, you know. So, I mean, there's like ideal factory specs, then there's like really worn out, and there's like severely worn out, there's worn out, and then there's like, kind of worn out, but it'll run for some years, you know. So that's what I'm trying to find out, because the information out there is pretty sketchy sometimes. You can't find a lot of stuff out. We'll probably vote, you know, so in a couple weeks I'll be taking apart the other bike. This thing I'm going to try to shine it up more again. the aluminum. The other one's got chrome on it, real old chrome from '92. Remember back then, I paid like $500 to have this parts chrome, which for today would be like $1,500, Southern California. But I'm looking at some stuff that from 3M, that's some kind of aviation aluminum protector. And I'm wondering, you know, once I get this shined up, I put that junk on, it'll keep it from oxidizing, you know, because this is a real pain in the butt sometimes. I don't really shine this bike much. I just kind of, you know, go over it quick and ride it. But, you know, there's absolutely no these little 80, I'll tell you what, I want to add on to this, because I know like a lot of little stupid stuff, you know, but in my opinion, you know, they had the 5-speed Sportster from the Evo Sportster, the 5-speed, that was not rubber mounted from 1991 to 2003. But in 2000, or right about that time, they, you know, maybe there's some overlap, they came apart. They came with the cranks that you got to press apart with, like the press cranks, where I don't think they're not as accurately put together, even though they work. And most machine shops can't rebuild those. So the 91 to 99, well, actually anything before 91, you can rebuild the bottom end a lot easier. So but one I really can't stand, even though the bikes you know, this is Harley doing this garbage. 2004 and up, I would never get one of those, even though, you know, it's rubber mounted. It's maybe a little heavier, rides a little nicer with that rubber mount and stuff like that. But if you have a problem with the transmission, you got to take the engine out of the frame. You know, take, you know, all the cams out and everything. Take the heads off, take the cylinders off, and split the cases just to work on a transmission. From 2003 all the way back to 1957, you just took the primary off, the primary chain, the clutch there, and you pulled it out with the trap door. It's really easy, way easier. So they did that basically to make the bike real expensive to repair. They're jerks, man. That's why this has always been the rule. For everything Harley does better, they do something worse. It's always been the rule. Going all the way back. The older bikes are better. I don't give a crap what anybody says. You know, I think the Milwaukee 8's a good motor, but I would definitely, in my opinion, I mean, unless you're not worried about the transmission work, but to me, splitting the cases is major work. That's major work. So if the other bike if I got to wind up I hope I don't have to, but I've been looking at some place down in Boynton Beach, Florida, that you can do an exchange. I might even just drive it down there. It's a few hours, 3.5 hours away by the turnpike. And I'd have to tear everything out of it, all the transmission, the primary, the cams, and all the gears and junk, and take the cylinders off, the heads. And I think they said they'll redo the flywheels with a new crank pin and all new bearings and stuff, you know, and the cases and junk, and new bearings for the cams for about $1,000. And I was like, But I'm hoping I don't need that shit right now. But that's a good option for later on. So, but the way it looks, you know, I'm probably gonna have to learn everything. And that's, you know, I'm so burned out on working on the other bike, because it wasn't that the bike was unreliable. Like, you jump on these bikes and you hit, like, you know, 80% throttle or something like that. You take them up to 5,500 RPM. That other bike was ridden really, really, really hard. It was rebuilt at 26,000 miles completely. So, which I'm glad, you know, the cost kept my ambitions down, because I probably wouldn't be here making this video right now. But anyway, I don't want to get into all that garbage, but, you know, if you ride them regular, they last a real long time. Anything you race all out, like, I mean, you're power shifting, redlining the hell out of it, you know. I mean, you know, if you got 1,000 miles on the bike and it's got 4,000 quarter miles, that's a motor that's ready to freaking come apart. So, but otherwise, you can still jump on it, but not like crazy. There's a difference going that extra 10-20% to all out. That really wears them out. But I'm hoping my bike is still okay with that S&S bottom end in it, man. But we shall see. You know, as far as I'm right now, I'm trying to thinking is I'm going to be pretty lenient about what the specs are. And I'm going to probably just put the 1250 kit in it anyway. But and listen for noise. Anyway, but for now, this thing is decent enough, man. This thing is not bad. I would never tell anybody not to get an 883. They're pretty inexpensive right now.